Today we're going to focus on using our core, which is going to help us to warm up and unthaw a little bit. So if you are in a basement space, hopefully we'll build some heat for you. And you can see I've got my little heat box going. It's not necessarily going to give me the hot yoga at Empower vibe, but it gives a little bit of warmth that I think is so nice at this time. So why don't we go ahead and get started today, guys, by coming onto our back. So we are going to work on waking up our core right away. And so when you lie onto your back, you're going to take your feet onto the mat and then take a windshield wiper. Go ahead and just drop the knees side to side. This is a wonderful release for the hip or the low back. So I love this sort of windshield wiper action if I have had a long day at the desk, or, you know, I mean, I should probably be more honest, a long day watching Netflix, right? So if you are like me and find yourself sitting a little bit more often lately, this is a great way to release the hips and the low back. Okay, and then just pause on one side. And then as you pause on that side, I'd love for you just to place your hands on your low ribs and taking a deep breath in, really feel the expansion of your rib cage. And when you exhale out, notice how the rib cage knits back together. Breathing in, draw in a deep breath. And as you exhale, feel the rib cage draw in. If you do this more purposefully, drawing the ribs in, you'll start to feel you're engaging your core. And we'll use this throughout the class. Take another expansive breath in. Exhaling. And then drop your knees to the opposite side and we'll take 3 deep breaths. This is a great time to begin your Ujjayi breathing. So Ujjayi is audible, sounds like wind in the trees or a wave rolling to shore. Keeping your lips closed and breathing just in and out through the nose helps to build heat and calms the mind and central nervous system. Come back to the center. Draw your knees up towards your chest. Take your legs up towards the sky, pointing your feet. If you have low back pain, you may want to place the hands underneath your low back. If that is not an issue for you, keep your hands reaching out. Take your toes and drop them down about to a 30-degree angle where you start to feel your core engaged, but not to the lowest level that you can. So even if you could go here, I'd like for you just to go to the first point of engagement. From there, lift your head up and off of the yoga mat. And as you're lifting your head up off the mat, we're going to drop the toes down an inch and back up an inch. Toes drop, up an inch, now start to breathe. 2 more. Good, hold here. Great. Take the legs back up, place your hands behind your head. Drop just your left leg down to that angle and bend your right knee. Bring your left elbow across towards the knee. And then opposite side, bicycle crunch. The good news is we're starting with core. The better news is we're getting it out of the way. And I think the really silver lining is that we'll be able to use the heat that we build in this moment to help us feel really comfortable throughout the practice. Now pause on one side and hit it with the other elbow. And then back to the opposite elbow. So 3 times on one knee. 1, 2, 3, and switch. Keep going with the 3 times on one elbow. Last one, good, one more side. 2, 3, hug the knees into the chest. And today we'll take a supine child's pose. So bring your big toes together, let the knees be wide, and imagine that you are taking child's pose, but you're upside down. You could have hands on shins, ankles, or feet. Feel your hips sink down towards your mat. Take a moment to pause. Know that any time through class, you could return here to on your back. You could take child's pose upright or cross-legged seats. Now we'll draw the knees into the chest, rock and roll yourself up and down. On that very last rock, plant your hands and stepping it back towards a high plank pose. Once you get into your high plank pose, pause there. In high plank, you can have your legs straight or placing your knees down onto your mat. Press it back to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, let's bend the right knee deeply. And then bend the left knee deeply, straighten the right leg. Bend both of your knees and just drop your seat a little bit, stretching out the toes. You come up high into the toes. Press the legs back, heels back. Inhale forward to a high plank pose again. Keep pushing your mat away and then draw your low ribs up and into the body. Send the gaze forward about a foot in front of the fingertips. Downward facing dog. Take the right leg and reach it up to the sky. Bend your knee, open up your hip, heel works towards opposite shoulder. Then take your leg up to the sky, send your foot through into a low lunge pose. Right hand reaching upward, taking a low lunge twist. And then we're releasing the hand down towards the mat. Step it back, downward facing dog. Take the knees to the mat and inhale to cow pose. Drop the navel down, tailbone high, gazing forward. Exhale, cat pose, round through your back, press into the palms. One more time, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Back to neutral, walk the hands forward, downward facing dog. Left leg lifts up to the sky, then stack your left hip on top of the right, bending your knee, working your foot over towards the right side of your space. Take your leg high in an inhale. When you exhale, step your foot forward between your hands. Left hand is reaching up towards the sky, open. This is where we're starting to feel in the mood for this, right? We've arrived. And then we're gonna step it back, downward facing dog. Come forward into your high plank pose. Legs can be straight or you can place your knees down. Slide forward an inch or two and bend your elbows straight back, lowering all the way down to your mat. Once we come onto the mat, we'll set up for cobra. Flip your feet, hug your legs together, and with an inhale, lift your chin chest up. And try not to use your hands too much to strengthen the upper back. Then we'll bring the chin back down. Upward dog, slide your hands back so that your thumbs align with your lower ribs. Press into the feet and with an inhale, push the mat away, lifting the knees and thighs up off the mat, crown of head stretches high. Downward facing dog, seat reaches upward. Step to the top of your mat. We'll be taking a ragdoll pose. Feet are hip width apart. You can grab for your opposite biceps. Do a little swaying back and forth. Right, the swaying back and forth can help us to loosen up. But you may notice that there's a point in which you are ready to be still. I know it may sound a little funky to say this, but ragdoll can be a resting pose. So if you notice you just want to slow down and breathe, but maybe keep your heart rate and your heat up, we could come here. Relax your hands down. On an inhale, come to a half lift. Exhale and fold forward. Press down into your feet. On an inhale, rise to a mountain, reach into the sky. Exhale, we'll fold forward. Always know you can bend your knees, hinge from the hips and keep your back nice and flat. Head drops heavy. Halfway lift on the inhalation. Create a flat back, crown of head stretches away from tailbone. Plant your hands, step it back to a high plank. Legs can be straight or knees down. Lowering halfway down for low plank chaturanga. Inhale to upward dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Exhale all of it out. Step or hop your feet to the top of your mat. Inhale as a half lift. Exhale and fold. Reach to the sky for mountain tadasana. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale's half lift. Exhale, step or hopping back to high plank. And we'll lower down a few inches for low plank. Inhale, upward facing or cobra. Downward facing dog. Breath in. Empty out. Gaze to your hands, step or hop. Last time through, inhale, half lift. Fold forward, exhale. Reach to the sky for mountain tadasana. And fold forward, exhale. Halfway lifting, breathing in. Plant the hands really strong as you lower down into low plank chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing and downward facing dog. Take your right leg and stretch it high to the sky. On the exhalation, draw your knee towards your nose. Push the yoga mat away. Inhale, take your leg high. Exhale, knee to the nose. Inhale, reach the leg high. Exhale, knee to the nose. Take it back to a three-legged downward facing dog and set your foot onto the mat. Warming up the other side, left leg high. Exhale, knee to the nose. Inhale, reach your leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw it in. Take your leg high. Set the foot down into the mat. Step or hop to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, breathing in. Fold forward, exhale. Inhale, mountain Tadasana. Sitting back into chair pose, take the arms back like airplane wings. So imagine that you're trying to sit back onto a footstool. Most of the weight shifts towards the heels, lower abdomen, and low ribs draw in. Reach back through your fingers, palms can be face up, which helps to activate the triceps. On the inhalation, let's reach the arms tall. Hold here, breathing, 3. Reach long through your arms, 2. One more in-breath. Fold forward, exhale. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, high to low plank, chaturanga. Always an option to scoop and move right to down dog. Lift your heart for up dog. Downward facing dog. Take your right leg high. And when you exhale, step your right foot forward. Back heel is lifted, crescent lunge. Crescent lunge uses a lot of core. Essentially a balancing pose. So here, hug inner thighs towards each other. Lift gently through the lower abdomen. From there, once you find your steadiness, we can reach up through the fingertips. Take a deeper breath in. On the exhalation, power lunge. Arms reach back. Torso leans forward. Try not to rest on your front leg, using more lower body strength. Inhale, the arms reach back to the sky. Tall crescent. Plank your hands. Step back to a high plank pose. Lowering down to chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lifts. Exhale, step it forward. Crescent lunge. Balancing on the ball of the back foot. If you'd like an option here, we can place the back knee down. Great choice if you have low back pain. And find a focal point for your eyes and reignite your breath. Next exhalation, take your arms back. And this practice is an opportunity to set the energy for the day. So be purposeful, be powerful, and focused. Inhale, the arms reach up. On the exhale, plant your hands. Step back, high plank. Lowering down to chaturanga. Upward facing, downward facing. Let's flow that. Inhale the right leg high. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, crescent. Airplane arms, exhale. Inhale, crescent lunge. Plant your hands, high to low plank, chaturanga. Upward facing, downward facing. Take left leg high, step it forward. Inhale, crescent. Airplane arms, exhale. Inhale, crescent. Hands plant, chaturanga. Up dog, breathe in. Down dog, breathe out. We'll move on. Take your right leg high and inhale. Exhale, step right foot forward. Inhale, crescent lunge, reaching high. This time, take a twist, but stay tall. Right arm will reach back. Left arm is reaching forward. And hug inner thighs towards one another to stabilize. And then you can rotate, open wide across the arms. Warrior 2 is next. You're going to spin yourself open. In Warrior 2, if we want to adjust, we can lengthen the stance. Then softly gaze out beyond the tips of your fingers. Find the center of the pose. Next exhalation is extended side angle. Right elbow can be on the thigh. Left arm is going to reach overhead towards the wall in front of you. An option is to reach the hand down towards the block or the mat. Deepen your breath. Reverse warrior. Stretch back with an inhale. And plant your hands onto your mat. Step it back into a plank position. Pause there in plank pose. Bring your big toes together. Slide your right hand an inch or two forward on your mat. Roll to the right and reach left hand upward. Inside plank, right knee can rest down as well. We're reaching the hips up, pushing the yoga mat away from you. Maybe we float the top leg up towards the sky. Hold 3, 2, and release down to high plank. Take your time. Hold in high plank or chaturanga. Upward facing to downward facing dog. Left leg lifting up to the sky. Exhale, step left foot forward. Rise up into crescent lunge, reaching to the sky. Take your tall twist. Left arm is back. Right arm is reaching forward. And wide across the arms, breathe. Warrior 2, create a big spin open. Lead into your warrior 2 pose. Soft focus over your fingertips. Stretch out across the arms. Almost imagine that you can stretch your yoga mat out longer with your feet. Extended side angle, elbow can be on thigh. Right arm stretching overhead, reaching towards where the front wall and ceiling connect. Left fingertips could also reach down towards the mat. Reverse the warrior, reach up and back. Keep your warrior 2 legs sync front thigh. Gazing towards back foot may help you access a deeper breath. Plant your hands onto your mat. Step it back into a plank pose. Big toes touch. Left hand slides forward, side plank, Vashisthasana. Right arm's reaching. Maybe float in the top leg up. Last 3, 2, 1. Release the hand down, come to high plank. Maybe we chaturanga. Up dog and downward facing dog. Once you arrive in your down dog, take a breath in. Emptying it out. One more here, inhale. Exhale it out. Take a right leg and reach up to the sky. On your exhalation, step your right foot forward. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, launch into airplane pose. Shift your weight onto your front foot. Arms reaching back at your sides like airplane wings. Move into half moon. Right hand comes down towards the floor or a yoga block. Stack your shoulders and send left hand high. Back leg is floating up, foot is flexed. Step gently back to warrior 2. When you arrive at warrior 2, straighten your front leg. Toe heel your back foot in about a half a footprint closer. For triangle pose, reach forward. Place your hand on your shin or ankle. Left hand is lifting up to the sky. Now to make this a little bit more core, bottom hand floats up and reaches forward. Hold here for 3, 2, rise up to standing. Place your hands on your hips. Heels turn in and toes point out for goddess pose, sinking down. In the goddess, keep the hands at the heart center. Lift your right heel up, place it down. Left heel lifts, then down. Good right heel, lower and left. Continue to rotate, heel to heel at your own pace. All the while, the core is working to help stabilize and keep us in balance. Last one, we'll lift both heels up. Little pulses, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up slowly. Turn towards the front of your mat. Plant your hands, step back. High plank pose, hold here. In high plank, you can stay with both palms on the mat. If you'd like a little bit more, take left fingertips and tap your right shoulder. Down to the mat. Right fingertips tap left shoulder and down. 2 more cycles each side. Come back to the plank. If you'd like a chaturanga, upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Take your left leg high in your in-breath. Exhale, step left foot forward. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale is airplane, launch onto the front foot. And reach back. Flexing the foot may bring a little bit more lightness and energy to the back leg. Yeah. Half moon pose. Rotate and left hand comes down. Right arm is stretched into the sky. Bend your knee, step back, warrior 2. Straighten your front leg. Toe heel your back foot and a half a foot closer. Then reach forward and tip down. Continue to breathe here. Feel steady on your feet. Engage the quadriceps, the front of the thighs. Now we can keep stretching long through the torso, and left hand could stretch forward here for 3, 2, rise up on an inhale. Find your way into that goddess pose, sink down. In goddess, I'm just gonna turn around so you guys can see, but stay the direction you're in. You can take the arms like a cactus, sink nice and low. And to work our core a little bit, take your right elbow and drop it down towards your thigh. Probably won't touch, and we'll come back up. And then opposite side. I guess it depends. If you have a long torso like I do, maybe there's space, maybe there's not space. Continue to go side to side. Always trust your instincts. Trust in what your body tells you. If this does not feel good, you can skip it. You can hold the goddess or do some pulses. Come back to the center, sinking low. Now imagine, flip your palms and imagine that you're pushing the weight of the world upward. Just kidding, that's for later. All right, inhale, rise up, let that go. Turn forward, place your hands onto your mat, step it back, high plank pose. All right, option to hold plank, knees can be down, or take right foot, step it out. Left foot steps out. Right foot steps in, left foot steps in. Right foot goes out, left foot, yeah, and then just go at your own pace. Keep pushing the mat away with your palms. Maybe we get a little cardio here too, right? Yoga is very strengthening for your lungs and cardiovascular system, regardless if we're doing something intense like this. And come on back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Breath in. Exhale out. Send your right leg up to the sky and inhale. Exhale, step right foot forward. Inhale's warrior 1. Reaching the arms up. Plugging into the back foot, engaging your back leg. Gently squaring just your shoulders forward. Don't worry about forcing your hips square. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Lifting up through your heart and chest. Humble warrior, shoulders inside the front thigh. Crown of head is reaching down towards the mat. Hug your leg in towards the center of the mat. Shoulder presses gently to the inner knee. Pull yourself up slowly to standing. And extend the arms out. And place your hands on your hips. Here we're going to turn. Rather, step the back foot in about a foot closer. Turn all of the toes to face the front of your mat, which will square the hips towards the front edge of the mat. Revolving triangle pose. Left hand is going to reach forward in front of you. Right hand stays on your hip. Reach forward, right hip slides back. You can place your hand on your shin, your foot, or the mat. Maybe we're using a yoga block. Right arm is reaching up to the sky. Release your hands down, coming into pyramid pose. Melt over your front leg. Now, if you'd like a little bit more work for your core, it is important in this what's called basic airplane pose that you really listen to your body. If you feel like it's not working for your back, I'm going to invite you just to come right back here. If you feel okay trying this, let's go ahead and engage the front leg. Take your arm to act like airplane wings and lift your torso up to a halfway point. Nice flat back. Hold. 3. What is basic about this, right? 2. One more inhale. Release your hands down. Plant your palms. Step back. Downward facing dog. Left leg is lifting to the sky. Step in the left foot forward. Inhale, warrior 1. Finding steadiness. Breath is aiding you in this moment to stay present. Bringing lots of vital life force and energy into the body. And then we'll take hands behind the back. Humble warrior, lift up through your heart. And begin to bow forward, shoulders inside front leg. Begin to hug your thigh in towards the middle line of the mat, just to give more stability for the hip. You may also enhance the stretch. Softening toes. Pull yourself up gently to standing, press into the front foot. Arms reaching up. Straighten your front leg, place your hands on your hips. Toe heel your back foot in, about a foot closer, turning toes towards the front of the mat. Right arm is going to reach forward, left hand on hip, revolve, triangle pose, reach, and then place the hand down on shin, maybe a yoga block or the mat. Right arm, rather left arm is reaching to the sky. Pyramid pose, both hands on the mat or your shin. Begin to fold over your front leg. It is absolutely okay to bend your knee. You know what's really great is everything is okay. If it feels better, then definitely choose it. If it feels challenging but in a good way, yeah, that's okay to choose that. If it challenges us so much that we hold our breath, then maybe we back off a little. Let's try that basic airplane pose. So you start to send your arms back. Now float your torso up, woo, and try to come up halfway. Lots of leg work here. 3, 2, releasing down. Bend your knee and step forward to the top of your mat. Come to seated. When you get to seated, so I know I said that the core work was earlier and we were done, but I was fibbing. So we're gonna move into our Navasana boat pose. We're gonna lift your feet up. In the Navasana, or the boat pose, let's take the hands behind the head. Elbows are going to be wide. Bicycle here. So imagine like you're on one of those cute little swan paddle boats, right? Just paddling in a pond, side to side. Three, 2, 1. Feet come to the mat, reach up. You place your hands on your knees. Just take a moment to kind of round your back. And then do a seated cow pose. Lift your heart. Your collarbones really wide. Okay, the feet are going to stay. Actually, extend your legs long in front of you. Pointing your toes. Take your hands out in front of you and lower yourself down to a point where you start to feel your core. And then I want you to imagine that you're climbing down a rope super slow. Slowly climb down a rope as you lower your torso down. Once you start shaking, try to fold down. Don't hurry. Woo, 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 and then release. Arms stretch overhead. I don't know about you, but that last few inches, I could tell my core was fully done, right? Ready to come out of the oven. Let's hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. And then set feet onto the floor. Bridge pose. Press down into your feet. Lift your hips to the sky. Once you're lifting your hips to the sky, you can remain or tuck your arms underneath you and interlace your fingers. Keep your chin pointing up. Even if it's tempting to look at the screen, I really welcome you to just keep your eyes at the ceiling. Much safer for your neck. Now we'll lower the hips down. Slide your arms out. Come back into bridge pose. Press into your feet. Lift your hips up. This time, don't tuck your arms underneath you. Just keep your palms flat. Take your right leg and lift it up to the sky. Lower your hips down. Dip the hips and lift the hips up. 4 more. Hips lift. 3 more. 2. All right, last 1. And lower. Send the right foot down. Do a little windshield wiper. We'll try the other side of the bridge dips. Lift your hips. Send your left leg up. Lower your hips down and up. 4 more. 3. 2. Last 1. Release the hips down. Windshield wiper your knees side to side. And take your arms out. Come underneath you. Bring the bottoms of your feet together and allow your knees to butterfly open. Take a moment to close your eyes. Begin to feel the endorphins, the feel-good hormones in the body. Motion releases emotion, which is simply energy. Sometimes you can feel overwhelmed, really stuck, lethargic, anxious, or depressed. And in this time of new challenges, for sure, this year, doing something to help us move our bodies, to breathe, and to just be in the now is so powerful. It's almost like a vacation. And draw the knees in towards chest. Okay. Place your hands behind your knees and rock yourself up and down 1 to 3 times, whatever is comfortable for your back. Once you get to seated, we'll be moving into a pose called Stag pose for our hips. So I'll turn myself so that you guys can see. What we want to do is have your right shin parallel to the front edge of your mat. Your left leg goes behind you and it's making a 90-degree angle behind the body. So it kind of looks like this from the side. Yeah, and then from there you come off to the left, or rather to your right. So when you're starting this pose, lean a little bit to the right, have the right elbow on the side. If you're not feeling enough stretch in your glute, you could take it more to the middle. Maybe you bring it a little further over the front leg. And dropping the gaze down. I always like to tuck a yoga block under the forehead, so if you have a block handy. People have been getting really creative, like if they don't have a block, they're just stacking like a whole bunch of cookbooks. Take 3 more breaths. And rise up onto your hands. Before switching to the other side, take your feet onto the mat, knees bent, and a gentle windshield wiper. Opposite side, take left shin forward, flexing foot. Right leg will go behind you. Here we can lean onto the elbow. Maybe you notice that you don't need to go as deep on the left side because often we have one hip that's tighter than the other. That's normal. Maybe you need to go a little deeper. And as you breathe deeply in, just feel yourself releasing from your hips anything that you've been holding on to that is no longer useful. Okay. This is no longer really beneficial to hold on to anymore. You can exhale it out. Maybe breathing out old stories or even old labels or titles that are restrictive. Maybe breathing out any limiting beliefs. And then let's come up slowly onto the hands. Once you come up onto the hands, take your feet onto the mat and a little windshield wiper action back and forth. And then from here, you can place your soles of feet together. Butterfly pose, lift up through your heart and begin to fold forward. Hinge from the hip creases, keeping your back nice and flat. Interestingly, I would really prefer that your back stay flat and that you're higher versus rounding your back and bringing your head lower. For one, it's not so great for the low back, but especially not great for your neck. In modern life, we are so often looking at our phones, right? Even the best of us that limit our phone time. That positioning of the neck creates what's called tech neck, literally a pain in the neck. Upper back can give headaches. It really depletes your energy. So what I encourage you guys to do is keep your neck really long. And then maybe as you move through the day too, if you feel depleted or you're starting to feel a neck ache, maybe bring your neck into neutral position. I'm like a goofy person that's like always like this with my phone, like really conscious of like keeping it above eye level so that my neck stays in a good position. I'm a yoga teacher though. Let's go and go back up. Bring your knees together. Take your legs long in front of you. Flex your feet. You can move a little side to side. Stretch your arms tall in an in-breath. Fold forward as you exhale. And the same thing here. We have a nice long spine. We're hinging from the hip creases. It does not matter if our head touches the shins. We want to create that length. And if you hinge from your hip creases, I guarantee you you're getting a deep stretch, right? Yeah, maybe even you're feeling it in your lower legs, the soles of your feet. Deep breath flowing. With the inhalation, come up and bend your knees, set your feet onto the floor. If you have a yoga block, you could bring it with you. If you have a wall nearby, you could even scoot yourself close to the wall. We're gonna do legs up pose. So if you're new to legs up pose, you can do it on your mat without any equipment, taking the legs up and even tucking your hands underneath you. Another option is to work a wall. So if you have a wall nearby, you can scoot your body close. And if you have tight hamstrings, let your hips be a few inches away from the wall so it doesn't overstretch your hamstrings. And then take the arms here at your sides. From all the fire that we built earlier with our core work, this legs up pose is calming and cooling. Balance is an important element of a yoga practice. Right? Even though we may want to kind of get in our workout and exercise, if we only do the powerful heat building poses, we can tend to then feel overfired. Like you might notice that if you do too much of that too often, you have a short temper or even very impatient feeling. Overbearing is what I notice in myself. So we want to cool it down to find that balance of cooling and heat, of yin and yang, of pose and repose. Take a few more breaths. And as you breathe and feel the cooling and calming effect, know that your day will be steadier because you have cultivated a strong center. The ability to challenge yourself when needed, and also to be calm and at ease when it is not necessary to be doing, achieving, or active. And then we'll draw the knees into the chest, giving yourself a wonderful hug. If you've taken yourself to a wall, you can move back onto your mat and happy baby pose. Capture the bottoms of your feet and let the knees be wide. In happy baby, we press hands to feet. Feet push up into hands, which then elongates the spine. Close your eyes and bring your mind into your body. Our bodies are so wise. Our bodies know the truth and can help us to navigate with ease when we tune in and we listen closely. You can draw your knees into your chest. For supine twist, arms reach out like a capital T. Knees can stay like this, or if you would like to, you can cross your right leg over your left, just like sitting in a chair cross-legged. Drop your knees to the left side of the space. Chin can point to the ceiling or to the ground. Easing back to the center. And drop your knees to the opposite side. You can draw your gaze over towards left fingers, or close your eyes. Maybe you have a full-time job and are homeschooling your kids. Or maybe you're a full-time student, but in your part-time, you're full-time trying to save the world. Right? So what I invite you to do in this next pose is to set all of that down. So it's come back to the center. Give yourself a nice squeeze. Set your feet onto the floor, and if this feels most comfortable for your low back, you can drop the knees together. Take your arms long at your sides, palms up, and then maybe we stretch the legs long in front of us, let the feet drop open. Closing your eyes and take this time to let go, to set it all down. Like imagine yourself walking through the threshold of your home after a really long journey, and you set down a heavy bang and you feel the relief of being home. Just imagine that feeling and then sink into the relaxation and rest of being at home in your body. Soften your breathing. Let your body sink heavier and heavier into the mat. If you have additional time and you'd like to stay in your resting pose, please honor that. If you're ready to move out, we'll wiggle the toes and fingers. With a big breath in, stretch your arms long above your head, taking a full body stretch. Then we'll softly roll over to the left side. As you roll to the left, pause for a moment and feel all of the balance, the strength you reminded yourself of. Yoga reminds us of who we are at our core. Come back up slowly to the cross-legged seated pose and bring hands together at your heart center. Take a deep breath in. And when you exhale, gently bow forward. Namaste. Wonderful practice, everybody.